Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today, Tuesday morning, September 7th, 2021. The man they call Meathead. And filling in for the lovely and luscious Linda Kay, who's hanging out at Fozzie in the greater Midwest area. It's Matthew Thomas. Sorry, Matthew, you're not lovely nor luscious.
Good morning. Well, I'm matriculating.
You like to matriculate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
Do you matriculate down the field?
I'm matriculating right now as we speak.
Not in front of us. All right. Matthew Thomas, good morning. Welcome, you listeners and everybody joining us on a Tuesday morning. We'd like to tell you who helps us out with the program. Who's the perfect sponsor?
You're talking about the fine folks over at that garment manufacturing place called Collar and Elbow, available exclusively at Collar and Elbow brand. Swing on over there. I think there's going to be some new fall fashion editions coming down the pipeline from what I hear.
And more Buenos Hermanos, of course. You know, the Good Brothers always pumping out the gear there. And it's probably some of the best gear that they've got, though. But how do you save 10%?
Oh, that would be with promo code Linda K. You go to the keyboard and you put LINDAKAY. You input that into your keyboard and you save a big old chunk of 10% off of your order.
So, CM Punk, you've heard of him, right? He was on Renee Paquette's show, Oral Sessions with Renee. And the quote that came out of CM Punk was, CM Punk says WWE producers that didn't get him were like 65 and racist. I think that's just a line grabbed out of a podcast. But to be honest, that really points to the struggles that WWE is having on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, is that you got a bunch of old school boys sitting in the back. They have Vince's ear, and they just don't get what the fans want today.
I know we're not quite going into Raw yet, but I want to transition really, really quick.
We'll come back to it. It's okay. Transition, and then we'll go back.
Yeah, I paid very close attention to how they opened the show, because you're coming off of what some people are calling one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time in AEW's effort over the weekend. What's Raw going to do to answer to that?
Oh, nothing.
And you've got your open, and this is the open that they're getting in the arena. So the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the show, they're watching this on the screens in the arena. It's a very late 80s, early 90s character-esque rundown of your entire tag team division. Yep. And it's just
a Saturday night main event.
Open. Yeah. It's Viking Raiders. It's,
New Day.
It's New Day. It's very cartoonish. It's very character-based. You're going deep into that late 80s, early 90s. You're digging your heels in. And digging their heels into a character-based promotion more so than they've done in, I feel, decades. Just very interesting, the response. And I just wanted to segue into your comments of Punk's criticism about the people making the decisions being out of touch.
Yeah, Daryl Hall and John Owens would have a song for them that relates directly to that.
Yeah.
Out of touch, I'm out of time. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a Hall and Oates tune might be the official theme song for Extreme Rules. Have we got an official theme song yet?
No, but they're out of touch on those too, to be completely. Someone says out of touch is Madden, at EA Sports is Madden is out of touch with who actually plays their games. Not everybody that plays their NFL Madden 22 listens to hip hop. Not everybody. So let's talk about that. We talked about Punk. We talked about how his thoughts of the WWE producers are out of touch. Let's segue into a little bit of AEW All Out. Yes, we broke it down yesterday for you guys, match by match with Linda Kay. But we want to hear what Matthew Thomas has to say. Matthew, first off, 3 former WWE talents. Even though Punk technically doesn't count as a WWE talent anymore because he hasn't worked in 7 years. But two talents that were actually around during WrestleMania this year. Ruby Riott, now known as Ruby Soho, and Daniel Bryan, who worked the main event of WrestleMania, has come back as Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, and he showed up at AEW All Out. And one more, a young man that is named Adam Cole, Baby.
I want to start with Ruby Soho. The response that she got on Sunday night, in her entire history, in her entire career in the WWE, was she ever put into a position of importance to where she could have generated the crowd reaction and crowd response that she got in her premiere?
Zero.
It's, and I go back to I believe that was the initial NXT class with Charlotte and Becky, right, when they were brought to the main roster in groups, and you just had these groups and these team bad, yeah, just kind of blending in as part of the entertainment of the show. I felt so happy for her being able to make that premiere and getting that reception and being a big freaking deal on that show. So as far as All Out goes, there's a lot of people giving their opinion as far as where that show ranks in the all-time great pay-per-views. I can't do that. I think that is way, way too subjective of a territory to even talk about. I mean, you stop and think, okay, just take WWE, for example, a pay-per-view a month for how many decades now? You would really have to, sit down. And again, it just comes down to opinion. But here's what I think you can do. I think you can make the case, not of best pay-per-views per se, but of pay-per-view importance. I put All Out 2021 right below WrestleMania 1 as probably the most important pay-per-view in the industry.
It's a bold statement.
Because of the game-changing nature of it. WCW, you talk about WCW proper, you had a company that had the lineage of the NWA. You had the company that, they had the history. This is a company 2 years into its main existence made a shot across the bow 2 nights ago.
I want to stop you there. Shot across the bow. Do you think it was an intentional shot across the bow, or are they just making their company their own company? I do not think that this is a war.
No, they're making their company their own company. And where this quote-unquote war is now is the fans are the winners. And the people in the marketplace are saying, my goodness, there's a new number one company. And it's not them intentionally going after the WWE. If they wanted to do that, you know what? TNT could have freed up some time on Monday nights and we could have gone head to head. They're not interested in that. They're setting up a company that doesn't compete television wise with WWE, rather uses WWE as a lead in right now. They're going after the talent, and it's the fans that are saying, my goodness, they're putting on a better product. And that's been the conversation for a while now. Now the conversation is they're putting on a better product with basically same level of talent, same notoriety of talent. The premiere of Bryan Danielson, Punk is one thing. Punk was done with the WWE. The likelihood that he was coming back to the WWE to wrestle, it was still there, but it was very unlikely.
Slim to none.
Bryan Danielson appeared in your WrestleMania main event a few months ago. Yep. That's a completely different ball game altogether.
And McCall was just on pay-per-view the night after SummerSlam.
Yep.
Which is only a couple months ago.
And again,
actually, wait a minute. Takeover was August 22nd.
Oh my goodness.
Let that sink in for a second. Yeah. Takeover was August 22nd. He showed up on September 5th.
Wow. And let me say this too. You've got to look at what they're generating. I know you're in Chicago. I know it's a hotbed for professional wrestling, but you've got to look at what they're generating live audience and how that translates to home and how that gets people excited about a product and excited about professional wrestling in general. And keep in mind too, how many times did AEW on that show make the comment, what a great time to be a professional wrestling fan. I mean, I hope that where we're at right now in, in the professional wrestling industry, it makes everybody better. And because there is the potential for this to be one of the, if not the best time to be a professional wrestling fan in history.
The business is popping again. Okay. And the reason we talk about Bryan Danielson, one, he hasn't changed his Twitter. He's still WWE Daniel Bryan, but that'll change eventually. He, in the post pay-per-view and the press conference, he discusses why he chose AEW over WWE. He said, what piqued his interest was the Brody Lee thing.
Yeah.
And, that's ironic because obviously Brody Lee, Luke Harper, touch lives in both companies. So that the boys in WWE were watching AEW the night they did the tribute to Brody Lee. And that may be WWE's undoing.
Yeah. It's different, man. You and I spoke Friday morning. The landscape is different than it was just a few short days ago. I mean, we knew a lot of this stuff was likely to happen, but actually seeing it transpire and seeing the effort that AEW put forth over the weekend and seeing that talent there, Meathead, you can put on a show on Wednesday for Dynamite that is, almost a radically different roster than what you saw on AEW last week. Think about if they wanted to put on a show that featured almost exclusively new talent signed over the weekend, what that would look like.
They could make a 2-hour show.
Yeah. It's just I
was okay with the show last week. Yeah. I liked the show last week. And I'd be okay with a new show this week.
And let's get this straight. This is not Eric Bischoff and Ted Turner trying to put Vince out of business.
Right, WWE, that was Ted Turner saying it and Eric Bischoff wanting to do it.
Yeah, WWE is going to be fine. WWE as a company is not going anywhere. But when you critique it, you can critique the movie studio that's doing okay budget-wise that is no longer the number one critically acclaimed studio. And, I think largely that's kind of what's going on right now in professional wrestling.
Last word on Bryan Danielson. He says, look, the thing that also turned Punk was the Brody Lee show. Like I said, that was kind of their undoing. So many of us loved him so much, and they saw how special he was, and they saw how the company honored Brody Lee for that. WWE was very gracious to him as far as the offer they did. They said, hey, we got some outside stuff that you can do too. But Vince and Bryan Danielson have a great relationship, but sometimes he's overprotective of me, and I want to be able to push my limits. So, that was a lot of stuff going on Sunday night. Adam Cole, baby. And again, you knew it was Adam Cole the second you heard the music. You knew that he was a heel the second you saw him coming out of the heel tunnel. And then Daniel Bryan. That's the amazing thing about Daniel Bryan's music. It's public domain music to start it off. So, because Flight of the Valkyrie is public domain music. Anybody can use that. I could use that for this show if I wanted to.
And I like the fact that you shotgunned 2 premieres back to back like that, because I think something like that takes the audience a while to suggest. If you had Cole premiere not in that segment, not in a timely fashion with Daniel Bryan, the pacing them out would make you feel like, man, we got a lot in this show. But I think that, oh, wow, it's okay. It's not Daniel Bryan, but we'll probably get Daniel Bryan in New York. It's Adam Cole. This is really cool. We didn't know if we were going to get him this quick. You get that. Then
Chicago
you get Daniel Bryan.
Needs to say thank you is what they need.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
What have they gotten in the last less than a month?
Look at Chicago. We understand. And again, I personally don't like any Chicago sports teams. I mean, I might be a White Sox person, but can't stand the Cubs. And please don't ask me about the Bears and the Bulls. Do they even still play? But Chicago, the Jericho debut, the Punk leaving and winning the championship, Punk returning, all out. I mean, I'm just naming the ones off the top of my head. Chicago better be thankful.
So what you're telling me is you got that Ryan Sandberg tattoo removed eventually, right?
Did I ever tell you my Ryan Sandberg story?
I don't know if you did.
Long story short, folks, I don't want to bore you with this, but I'm on my way home. I was living for a while in Raleigh, North Carolina, outside of Raleigh.
Did he cut you off in traffic?
Nope. I was going to go to, this has nothing to do with Ryan, but his name was involved in it. I was going to go from Raleigh to Philly to Chicago to Milwaukee. My connector in Philly was late. So I got bumped over to Penn, which is below Madison Square Garden, where SmackDown will be this Friday night. Catch my connector in New York, sit next to a guy that says, I'm on my way to Wrigley Field. Ryan Sandberg's retiring tomorrow, and he's hoping to make the game. Our train was 8 hours behind. That dude got to Chicago and wasn't even able to go to a game.
Oh, my goodness. That's your Ryan Sandberg
That's
story.
my Ryan Sandberg story.
It made sense that you were taking a train. I thought you were going to tell me that you were driving from Raleigh to Philly to Chicago, which I couldn't quite figure out. But the train.
Yeah, why would I go around?
I'm just gonna go north, straight north, and then yeah. Well, no, now I know your Ryan Sandberg story.
All right, let's talk about Ryan Raw from last night. That was the only segue I had there. Let's talk Raw from last night. I tweeted something out Sunday night, and it's going to kind of lead us into, I know you segued into Raw on how it started. I tweeted something Sunday night, and it's going to lead me into Raw from last night. WWE, I want you to hear me. I want you to be good, okay? I want you to be successful. There is nothing that us fans, and even though we're broadcast journalists, Matthew, I consider us fans still. There is nothing that we would love more than have two majorly successful companies putting on great entertaining programs. We all win. WWE, you will never match that energy they had on Sunday night. You can't. There is no way. You could pull anything out of the ground. You could raise people from the dead. You can't match that energy. It's honestly, as CM Punk said, it's old people running a company trying to market to young people, and it's not going to work. Something's got to change.
I tell you what, though, there was a little bit of it towards the end of the show, and it was so you had it in pockets, and had it
not hot pockets.
Yeah, but it was because there was something new, and it was because somebody hadn't seen. And I think that's what that WWE universe is hungry for, is stuff they haven't seen, stuff that's new, stuff that they don't necessarily
save
want.
That.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna save my hot pocket.
All right, what you gonna eat? Hot pockets. All right, so the show starts off with Bobby Lashley and MVP interrupting RK Bro. What a huge challenge. And we know that from Matthew's discussion of the tag team turmoil tonight. We're going to have, I think it was 7 tag teams or 6 tag teams or whatever. MVP and Lashley talk to Pierce and Sonya Deville and get themselves put in as a tag team. If WWE was running, if this tag team turmoil was run on AEW in the exact same fashion, the way they've got it, this would have been exciting. Because of the stigma that we have from WWE right now, it's nothing to me. The New Day valiantly made it through the first half of it. I even liked, I didn't need the shenanigans to make it go this way. I even liked the tag team turmoil being split in half like that, giving the team that made it through a little bit of breather. I enjoyed that. I thought that was logical sense to me, right?
It made sense. So the good thing with this, and where I want to give WWE credit, something they do not do enough of, is showcase their divisions. And last night we had them say, okay, these are the people that are on the Raw tag team divisions. We're going to make these matches mean something. And so I give them credit for that. Here's the other thing is these teams had not, these teams had not been built up and showcased to the point where you had that vested interest that you could actually pull this rabbit out of your hat one night and make all the pieces fit into place. Outside of RK Bro, outside of New Day, outside of your former tag team champions AJ and Omos, the rest of the people have been featured in filler segments. So, and then here's the other thing. You're trying to book with that Chicago audience in mind. What are you doing to your audience that's there by having an hour-long, quintessentially the same segment? Yeah, you're bringing out other tag teams, but you're having New Day out there for an hour. You're having RK Bro, who you look at how much RK Bro is featured now. They know how over they are. They've closed the last, counting tonight, 3 shows, but now you're having RK Bro to start the show, to end the show, out there for probably a combination hour and a half, hour 45, sitting there watching this. WWE, it's like we've seen in these previous weeks where, one segment leads to another. You look at what AEW is doing. They are these fast-paced chunks. You're getting so much content out there. WWE is continuing to drag these segments on. Yeah. And you gotta wonder where that audience was, man, after an hour-long, quintessentially an hour-long match to start the show.
So, again, if done in Dynamite, it might have even come off different, but that's fine. So we had T-Bar and Mace basically blow up this tag team turmoil, right? They get disqualified. Well, actually, Xavier gets the pinfall, but they destroy everybody and kind of break it off in half. During the commercial break, Sonya Deville comes out and says that, look, you know what? It's not going to end like this in Miami. Not going to happen, which is great for the crowd. That's cool. Splits it up in half. We again get Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. This time it's for something. The winner's going to take on Damian Priest. Sheamus with the victory over Drew McIntyre. He'll face Damian Priest at Extreme Rules. I got a question for you, Matthew. Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH defeat Natalya and Tamina. So Shotzi and Nox. How many times have they beaten Natalya and Tamina?
Oh, man.
At least 3, right?
Yeah.
Where's their title match?
Yeah. So I want to go back, McIntyre, Sheamus. We had a much more of a heelish-looking McIntyre, especially at the end of that match. I think that dangerous McIntyre was what brought him to the dance, man, was what got that enthusiasm and that crowd behind him. Don't think it was a bad move on their part. Break us away from story time with Drew and carrying around his sword and this, that, and the other. I think they potentially moved in the right direction. I just don't want to see
the man unsheath his sword. That's all.
With that. No, but here's the thing. You're talking about the women's tag team division. Raw's got to stop that, man. It's been their standard for so long. The non-title loss to build up a contender. We got it last week. We got it again last night, man. I don't think it's working. I don't think anybody likes it. And again, it hurts your division. You build up contenders by having people look strong against people in that division. Raw sticking to this formula of the way you earn a title shot is to actually have your champions lose, which makes them look weak. And then It's just, for the people that, not that people were clamoring for for Nia to go over Charlotte, but
nobody was clamoring for that.
Yeah, but when you do it the following week, and then, all of a sudden these people who beat champions can't win when the title's on the line, it's not something.
It's not doing anybody a service, to be
not at all. It doesn't make anybody look good.
All right, so Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH apparently will get a title match,
preferably on a pay-per-view, and hopefully they win. And even Team Nelson Mandela another title win to add to their trophy cabinet.
So my question for you now is, Did you enjoy Karrion Kross being on the Moist Wanted show? Moist TV.
We talked a little bit off air about this. I think I probably enjoyed it more than you. Um, this was really our first Raw hearing Karrion Kross speak, I think. And I liked it for the fact that I think your average person maybe that hasn't seen Kross in NXT, you're potentially going to get the brooding monster that doesn't speak. I think he has much more of a mic presence than one would think by somebody being booked to just go through people. So I liked the discrepancy there. That being said, just the backstage, featuring backstage like this in the segment felt strange.
I gotta ask, in 2021, who didn't know Karrion Kross was on NXT?
The people that didn't watch NXT.
So who's watching? What wrestling fan that watches Raw and watches SmackDown and doesn't watch NXT?
Jimmy and Jill Smith up the road, the family up the street.
Gotcha. Because here's what I ask. I mean, I understood when it was on the network and you might not have had access to the network. It's on USA. It's promoted heavily on Raw.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night is NXT. Who does not know who Karrion Kross is? Why are they trying to tell us? Allow me to finish this thought here. Why are they trying to tell us that he's somebody different? Where's the girl? We're all asking the same question. It's 2021. You cannot play wrestling, kabuki theater with us. We know what you've put on the air.
Well, that was before he had his fancy new outfit.
We know what you did last summer with Karrion Kross. See what I did there?
Are you talking to me?
My favorite line. I got to cite. Let's step out of wrestling for a second. My favorite line in that movie. I know what you did last summer. I went to go see it in a theater. I went with a buddy, and we were in that kind of goofing off mood. There might have been two other people in the theater. Jennifer Love Hewitt is sitting at the table after being, distressed about something. Her grandmother comes over, gives her a bowl of soup or a chowder, excuse me. Honey, is there something wrong with your clam? I lost it. I absolutely lost it.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing that you didn't go watch All Out in the theater because you might have just, you might have been a little too rambunctious if that's how you behave in theaters.
Well, I'm supposed to be an adult now, so. All right, let's talk Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax in a Raw Women's title match. Again, this one is goofy. There's something going on. The pulling of the hair, and Charlotte Flair gave a crotch chop to her vajayjay. She told Nia to suck her vajayjay.
Well, that's pretty normal in a match. Yeah, that's pretty normal in a match. So my read on this was, I think last week things got really heated, and they started, laying in some stiff stuff in the heat of the moment.
Wait, how can a woman lay it in stiff?
Other ways.
Okay.
And I think that the wrestling industry and the people that talk about the stuff like we do was a buzz, and they knew that. And they tried to capitalize on that a little bit and tried to play that up in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the match. I think after that, after the commercial break, I mean, you settled into, more of a standard wrestling match. And the stuff with Shayna Baszler was a little bit strange. I mean, I guess we're going
no payoff to that yet.
Yeah, maybe we're going Nia Shayna, but yeah, it felt a little bit. It felt a little bit strange.
Well, you did give us a perfect segue there, because at the end of this segment, Alexa Bliss and Lily show up on the screen, and she wants to play with Charlotte.
And that's apparently what where we're going just in a few short weeks for our next
Extreme Rules. Do we get a cinematic match?
I don't know. We haven't had one of those in a while. I mean, it seemed like we were kind of getting away from those with going back to arenas and whatnot. I don't know how that would I don't think the crowd's going to like to have to sit there and watch it on a screen. Although I was actually at a TNA pay-per-view where that happened when they did whatever pay-per-view it was in early 2008 in Greenville, South Carolina. Abyss and somebody was going to have a Monsters Ball match, and I guess they would not sanction it in the state of South Carolina. So we went to a Monsters Ball match via video at the Impact Zone.
Reggie defeats Akira Tozawa in a 24/7 championship match in the ring. Hey, look, who's returned? It's the entire 24/7 division of guys that you don't see on TV.
My favorite segment here was when we had the Drake Maverick and R-Truth interaction at the
Drake
end.
Maverick looked serious.
And
is this part of, let me ask you this, is this part of the rebranding of NXT and they pulled Drake off of NXT?
It's possible.
All right, let's get back to the tag team turmoil. New Day defeat Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. Tag team turmoil match. AJ Styles and Omos defeated the New Day in a tag team turmoil match. And then the finals was Bobby Lashley and MVP defeating Styles and Omos. Here's the thing I think you're going to segue. I'm going to set you up here. I literally popped and got excited for Bobby Lashley and Omos, thinking, A, you got to protect your champion. B, you got to protect Omos somehow and make him look like this untouchable monster. But I'm like, oh, you know what I saw in that building? People standing when that happened.
Yeah. The only time in the show, the only time that I was aware of it in the show, but it was something new.
It reminded me of Royal Rumble when it was Brock Lesnar and Keith Lee.
Yeah. And, as great of a match as Sheamus and Drew McIntyre had, how many times have you seen that match? How many times have we seen these holding patterns on Raw? That was something new. That was a new, fresh matchup. You saw that, and how quick after that did you get a very loud, audible Bobby chant in the arena? I think Omos is the catalyst to turn Bobby face. I mean, you got to get past Orton at Extreme Rules, but I think the WWE universe is at a point now where they want Bobby Lashley to be a dominant babyface. And you've got to, if that's what the fans want, man, if you've got somebody they're naturally going to turn, that they naturally enjoy cheering, you can't fight it at this point, man. You gotta go with what that audience wants. And I think we're getting a lot closer there with Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley looked very small compared to Omos.
He did.
But again, I was standing just like everybody in the building. Oh, whoa, look at this. This is, I was excited for that. Yeah. WWE, you could do this. We're rooting for you. We really are. Matthew Thomas, we have more action. Tonight on NXT is the final night of the version that we're in. A couple tag team matches. The men's and women's tag team belts are up on the line. And we will not see NXT next week the way we've ever seen it before.
And I have no idea what that means.
It just means colors and rap is what it means.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up too. Just honestly, I want to see something entertaining. And I think what they've done to NXT over the last couple months has not been really all that entertaining.
We shall see a week from tonight.
For Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.